Southeast Asia spreads out along both sides of the equator. High mountains that pierce the sky have made possible the evolution of rare plants, and its tropical jungles have preserved animals and plants from prehistoric times. Southeast Asia has preserved ecosystems that remain amazingly untouched. It is a unique place, protected by both the great waters of the sea and the monsoon rains. Malaysia is a hot and humid country lying on the equator, which occupies the southern part of the Malay Peninsula, as well as the northwestern part of Borneo Island. Borneo Island is the third largest island in the world. The city of Kota Kinabalu, located in the northern part of the island, is the jumping-off point for sightseeing tours. Stretching across the central part of the island is a chain of 2,000-meter-tall mountains, dominated by Mount Kinabalu. Mount Kinabalu, the highest mountain in Southeast Asia, boasts an altitude of 4,095 meters. The mountain stands alone like a solitary island in the middle of the vast ocean of the tropical rainforest. Kinabalu Park, 753 square meters in size, is an important and rich depository of endemic plants, which have been nurtured by the unique conditions of the mountain. Characterizing the mountain is its jagged ridge, which ranges some 3 kilometers in length. Long ago, the mountain's ridge used to be covered in glaciers. The ridge was carved out some 10,000 years ago, when the mountain was extensively eroded by the glaciers that covered it. The mountain's gray ridge is formed from granite. Granite is thought to be lighter than other rocks, and therefore the effects of gravity are not as strong. This results in a phenomenon whereby granite actually breaks through the layers of the earth, bursting up above the ground. Mount Kinabalu was not always as high a mountain as it is now. Approximately 1.5 million years ago, a huge amount of molten granite that formed within the Earth's crust hardened and rose up, resulting in the creation of a new ridge. This new, much taller mountain had a dramatic impact on the surrounding environment. From about midway up the mountain to its summit is extremely steep and consists of no trees. However, in spite of having an altitude greater than that of Mount Fuji, Mount Kinabalu has alpine plants growing up its slopes, which grow in crevices within the rocks. This plant, Heath rhododendron is endemic to Mount Kinabalu. While rhododendron bushes on the side of the mountain can grow up to several meters in height, those on or near the summit can only grow as tall as 30 centimeters. The plants adapt themselves to their environment by changing shape in order to protect their seeds to ensure their survival. The tropical climate of high temperatures and high humidity guarantees a climate with year-round heavy rainfall. This climate, in turn, nurtures the thick forests which surround the base of the mountain. Because taller trees grow and actually pierce through the forest top, tropical rainforests are said to be forests on top of forests. This tree, belonging to the Dipterocarpaceae family, grows to be 70 meters in height. A typical tree of the tropical rainforests of Southeast Asia, it is widely used as a material for plywood. What supports the tree's great height are roots called buttress roots, which extend outward like wood planks. The world's largest plant blooms in Kinabalu Park. This is the Rafflesia, or corpse flower. The Rafflesia grows 1 meter in diameter and is a plant that is only a flower, having neither stems nor leaves. The ecology of the flower is still full of unknown mysteries. Rafflesia grows and exists parasitically on the root of a vine in the grape family. Several years after pollination, it sprouts a bud that swells before coming into bloom 9 months later. The flower blooms for only 1 short week. During the short time it is in bloom, the flower entices bugs with its unusual smell. It dies shortly after being pollinated. This flower, which blooms and then dies in the tropical rainforest surrounding Mount Kinabalu, is truly an unusual specimen of the plant world. Mount Kinabalu is covered in clouds and therefore not visible on most days. Because of these conditions, the mountain has been an object of worship from ancient times. The summit is especially revered as a place in which spirits of the dead dwell. Mount Kinabalu has a cloud forest on its hillside that is completely covered in clouds at all times. Moss and lichen directly absorb moisture in the air. The soil in this area has almost no exposure to direct sunlight, making it soggy and infertile. Plants gain the nutrients they need to survive in unique ways here. One example of this is the carnivorous pitcher plants. Pitcher plants have leaves which have evolved to taper down into shapes, resembling pitchers of about 20 centimeters in length. These pitchers entice and trap insects with their honey smell, then dissolve and digest the trapped insects with special enzymes. Pitcher plants can trap either crawling or flying insects. The shape of its pitcher, as well as its breeding location, depends on the type of insect it traps. The soil here is not only infertile, but also has high concentrations of highly toxic metals, which were dredged up to the surface, along with the granite that formed the mountain. Able to grow and propagate in this soil is a species of tree endemic to the area, Dacrydium gibsia. In addition, more than 1,000 types of orchids have been confirmed in Kinabalu Park. Of those, 1% is endemic to the area. In Mount Kinabalu, unknown types of new orchids are being found, one after another. Kinabalu Park embraces the area around Southeast Asia's largest mountain. The mountain's unique environmental conditions have in turn nurtured the evolution of many of the planet's most unique and rare plants, in what is being lauded as being one of the world's greatest repositories of plants. The symbol of the country of Vietnam is the lotus flower. A long, thin country, Vietnam occupies the eastern portion of the Indochina Peninsula. The region is characterized by a tropical monsoon climate, which has both a rainy season and a dry season. Year-round temperatures in Vietnam are above 18 degrees Celsius, and monsoons blowing in from the Indian Ocean bring large amounts of rainfall to the country. In central Vietnam, verdant and water-drenched rice fields are packed in long and narrow flatlands that are sandwiched in between 1,500-meter-tall mountains and the sea. Rice cultivation is carried out in these paddies year-round, thanks to abundant water flow from the mountains. Unusually shaped mountains appear just on the other side of this river, which provides plentiful water for the rice paddies of the area. The white rock seen embedded with other rocks in the mountains is limestone. Because limestone is so highly erosive, the abundant rain of the region has over time drastically changed the shapes of the mountains. This type of landscape is called a limestone karst terrain and is rich in caves and grottos. The limestone mountains are covered in virgin forest. Underneath these mountains are countless stalactite caves. Phong Nha Bang National Park is 2,000 square kilometers in size. The Phong Nha Cave is the most famous cave in the park's cave system. A river flows out the mouth of the cave. Once inside the cave, we come immediately to a dead end. Deep inside the chamber, only 50 centimeters above the waterline, we see a corridor leading to the stalactite cave. However, because of the high water levels, the entrance is filled up with water. Water levels in the cave change minute to minute, something that is characteristic of limestone landscapes. Steep mountains straddle the border between Vietnam and Laos. There is a unique monkey that dwells in these forest-covered mountains. Francois leaf monkeys, which are approximately 1 meter in height and weigh 10 kilograms, are leaf-eating monkeys living in the karst mountains and caves of Asia. These virgin forests nurture a wide variety of vegetation, ranging from very primitive to tropical plants. Fern, a primitive form of vegetation, has remained unchanged for some 300 million years. Rather than a bush, this tree fern has a thick trunk. The dense jungle is daunting for most humans, as is the tropical climate, which quickly turns fallen leaves into rich fertilizer for the soil. This is what has maintained these virgin forests over such a long stretch of time. Abundant rainfall is absorbed into the rich soil of the forest. Having been quickly absorbed into the soil, rainwater bubbles up at the base of the mountain. Intricate underground channels have been formed in the karst terrain. This intricate underground network causes spring water to bubble up in unexpected places. Water flows down from the mountains in Laos, creating the full rivers of the area. Beneath the virgin forests, there is an intricate network of subterranean rivers. Part of this underground network is the river which flows through the Phong Nha Cave. Over the past several days, the water level has greatly decreased. The inner chamber is now accessible. A new world is suddenly opened up to us as we enter a huge chamber. The only sound in the cave is that of the flowing of water. More than 20 caves are linked together by an underground river system, which extends 40 kilometers in length. Water, absorbed by the limestone, trickles out the entire cave interior. Water trickles along the cave walls as if crawling. Over time, the coats of mineral-laden trickling water build up and form into curtain-like stalactites. Stalactites hang down from the chamber ceiling. The icicle formations continue extending lower and lower until they eventually reach the ground, turning into stalactite pillars. The stalactites inside this cave are for the most part brownish in color, compared to the more common creamy white and smooth textured ones. These formations are also unusual in that their surface is rough, like coral. Stalactite has innumerable holes in their top layer which are too small to see, and water trickles constantly through these holes out of the stone. Large quantities of water, seeping down from the soil of the virgin forest above the cave, are quickly absorbed into the limestone. When this happens, impurities such as clay and iron are mixed in with the limestone-laden water. These conditions are what produce the rough, highly porous, and brownish stalactites. In addition, depending on the amount of impurities mixed in with the limestone-laden water, the shade of brown varies from stalactite to stalactite. When the cave was first discovered, something else just as remarkable as the cave was also found. That was the striped patterns of the rocky wall. Embedded with the other layers of rock is a stratum that dates back to the Paleozoic era, some 400 million years ago. Presently, the cave is confirmed to extend back more than 80 kilometers, but this is only part of its actual length. Virgin forests, nurtured by the tropical climate, along with an abundance of water, cover the Great Karst Plateau that spreads from Vietnam all the way into China. Located on this plateau, and created by the endless circulation of water, are the caves of Phong Nha Bang National Park. The Republic of the Philippines is made up of more than 7,000 large and small islands in tropical waters slightly north of the equator. The Sulu Sea, located southwest of the islands, is stormy throughout most of the year. Seas are calm here only 3 months out of the year at the beginning of spring. "200 kilometers offshore, an overnight boat trip away, a huge expanse of shallow waters suddenly appears in the middle of the sea. This is the Tubataha Reef, the largest coral reef system in Southeast Asia. This small sandy island is a benchmark for seabirds that use it as a breeding ground in the Sulu Sea. The word Tubataha means long coral reef in the language of the Bajau people who dwell in the Sulu Sea. The reef, however, is actually a ring-shaped atoll reef. A ship traveling along its outer edge will travel some 40 kilometers around it. Atolls, which form in deep waters, usually have perpendicular walls, like cliffs. Tubataha Reef is famous for the many different types of beautifully colored corals that can be found there. Corals grow in warm waters of 18 to 30 degrees Celsius. The world's greatest variety of corals can be seen in the tropical seas between the Philippines and Indonesia. Located in the middle of the Sulu Sea, it is said that all the major types of coral are represented in Tubataha Reef. A bluefin trevally is cutting through a school of tiny fish, looking for food. Corals are the perfect hiding place for small fish, such as damselfish. The colors and patterns of the fish blend in with the coral. Butterfly fish eat algae on rocky stretches of the coral reef. Titan triggerfish find food hiding within the crevices of the coral reef. There are some fish that also eat the reef itself. Coral reefs are referred to as the tropical rainforests of the sea. Coral Corals are plankton-eating marine cnidarians, in the same phylum as sea anemones. Most have hard external skeletons. A coral reef is formed out of several thousand to several million individual pieces of living coral that together form one organism. The corals eat plankton at night, and in the daytime obtain energy from algae, which they live symbiotically with, and that perform photosynthesis for them. Most types of coral grow in colonies in shallow waters that have sufficient sunlight for photosynthesis, and their shape varies depending on species and location. Acropora corals resemble tree branches. The largest genus of coral, there are some 150 types of Acropora. Acropora coral, which grows flat on top, is more commonly known as table coral. This coral is shaped like a cactus. A cluster of this larger knob coral resembles a human brain. The hard skeleton bodies of these coral animals become a base for other coral to grow on after the animals die. As they pile up one upon another, they form an organism known as a coral reef. There are many types of coral, however, which do not have a hard skeleton. These corals are called soft coral. This coral resembles a tree when its tentacles are extended to catch plankton being swept by the tide. Soft corals, which do not exist symbiotically with algae, can even live in areas without any light. A stingray lies in wait in the shade of a rock. It has a poisonous stinger on its tail. Countless crevices in the reef are perfect habitats for various kinds of creatures. A painted spiny lobster sticks only its antenna out from its hiding place. A blue-spotted grouper hides in the shadow of a rock. The Tubataha Reef rises up in the middle of the deep ocean. The reef's spectacular perpendicular wall was formed from corals that have attached themselves, one on top of the other, for several million years. There is an oceanic volcano located under the reef, with a depth that could reach up to 100 meters. Movements in the Earth's crust caused the volcano to sink, becoming submerged at the bottom of the sea. This led to the formation of the atoll reef, as corals collected, one layer on top of the next, around the rim of the volcano. Being tossed about by angry waves in the Sulu Sea, Tubataha's coral reefs continue to grow and grow. Fish migrate from all over the Sulu Sea to the nutrient-rich waters around the reef. Tubataha's coral reefs were created in the middle of this deep sea by a variety of chance factors. This is truly an oasis of an endless variety of fish. The Republic of Indonesia has the largest number of islands of any nation on Earth. The landscape here has borne the brunt of frequent, often violent volcanic activity. The Ujung Kulon National Park region, however, is a place where one can see land that was once devastated by volcanic activity being reborn by the tremendous regenerating powers of the Earth. The park has two distinct areas contained within it. The first is Krakatau Island, which is the location of a famous volcano that erupted approximately 120 years ago. The island is located in the Sunda Strait, between the western coast of Java and the island of Sumatra. The other part of the park is just south of Krakatau Island, on the Ujung Kulon Peninsula, which is located on the westernmost edge of Java Island. In the park, which is 1,230 square kilometers in size, people can see the process by which the Earth recovers after a volcanic eruption with their own eyes. The land tells the story of geological destruction and revival that has been repeated over and over since ancient times. The Ujung Kulon Peninsula has a tropical climate with an average temperature of more than 25 degrees Celsius. Tropical rainforest covers the entire peninsula. The roots of trees have developed into various forms in order to support their great size and to efficiently absorb nutrients from the soil's top layers, where organic decomposition takes place. Adapting to conditions of limited nutrients, vines attach themselves to trees in order to reach as high as possible above the canopy. Among the various trees in the green universe of the tropical rainforest, one huge tree stands out from the rest. These two trees resemble scaffolding going up a building. The outer tree, which is twisted around the other tree, is a Ficus annulata, belonging to the fig family. Seeds deposited high in the canopy by monkeys and birds put out buds that send root tendrils down towards the ground, where they eventually cover, or strangle, the tree itself. An aerial plant, the tree is also known as a strangler fig for the way it twists itself around other trees. Tropical forest fig trees produce enormous amounts of fruit when they flower. They produce an abundance of fruit so that as many animals as possible will gather the fruit and bring it up to the treetops to eat. This ensures that the seeds are scattered far and wide. One of the animals taking on this task is the rhinoceros hornbill. This large bird, which is over a meter in length, was given its name by the fact that it has a large, horn-shaped bony structure on top of its bill that resembles a rhinoceros's horn. Fig trees, which bear fruit several times a year, don't all grow fruit at the same time. This ensures that there is always a fig tree in its floral stage somewhere in the forest. The tropical rainforest is an inexhaustible storehouse of food. Ordinarily in a tropical rainforest, the sky can hardly be seen due to the great tangle of overgrown trees. However, in Ujung Kulon National Park, there is much new growth, and the sky can therefore be seen throughout the forest. The reason why we still find so much new growth can be explained by the landscape of the Ujung Kulon Peninsula. The coast is littered with countless black rocks. In 1883, one of the largest volcanic eruptions in history occurred on the island of Krakatau. Even more devastating than the explosion was the series of tremendous tsunamis that were generated. One wave reached 40 meters in height, crashing down on the surrounding coasts, destroying forests and hills. Even today, the volcano of Krakatau continues emitting gas and smoke. At first glance, the island, which is rocky and full of lava fields, could be taken to be completely barren. Here, however, we see plants taking root in the ash-colored earth. This species of Melastoma is able to grow in the sandy soils created from weathered lava rocks. Volcanic explosions bring forth combinations of minerals with almost the same composition as chemical fertilizers. Volcanic explosions heave two types of substances up to the Earth's surface, those that are harmful and those that promote new life. During the volcanic eruption 120 years ago, the coastal forests of the Ujung Kulon Peninsula suffered tremendous damage. The tropical rainforest was almost completely destroyed. Out of this destruction, all kinds of new plant growth have taken place within this soil, now thick with volcanic ash. The jungle is accessible only by boat. A jungle is defined as tropical rainforests which have been destroyed or cleared, thereby allowing significant amounts of light to penetrate the area, promoting the thick growth of vines and trees and other plants which are so characteristic of jungles. This forest turned into jungle particularly fast due to the tremendous amounts of volcanic ash which worked to enrich the soil. The dense jungle is the perfect place for animals to hide in. This snake, coiled on a branch, is a python. This snake, a slightly poisonous oriental whip snake, lays hidden in the grass. It is believed that this jungle, in which plants compete with each other for a better place in the sunshine, will return once again someday to its original state. Footprints 40 centimeters long were found along the water. The three-toed footprints are those of a Javan rhinoceros. It is very rare to catch a glimpse of a Javan rhinoceros. Their footprints, however, can be found near the water or within the forest. The one-horned Javan rhinoceros is the most primitive rhinoceros among the 5 existing species, and has remained virtually unchanged for 10 million years. It is also one of the most endangered animals on Earth. Their numbers were at one time reduced to only 24. Presently, about 60 rhinoceros are said to inhabit the Ujung Kulon Peninsula. With thick skin-like armor, a Javan rhinoceros advances forward, pushing down trees. This jungle, which is so thick with trees and plants that there is hardly room to move, is truly their last place of refuge. There are other rare animals living in Ujung Kulon National Park. One of these rare creatures is the beautiful wild ox, the banteng. Banteng are also animals that have remained unchanged from ancient times. 400 of them live within the park. The jungles here continue to nurture and preserve many unique flora and fauna. Created from continuous cycles of destruction and regeneration, Ujung Kulon National Park protects within it various flora and fauna that have existed since prehistoric times. Numerous large and small islands dot the waters between the Pacific Ocean and the Indian Ocean in the Republic of Indonesia. Located approximately 1,500 kilometers east of the nation's capital of Jakarta, in the Lesser Sunda Islands, is the small 460-kilometer island of Komodo. Komodo National Park was designated as a World Heritage Site in 1991. The park centers around Komodo Island, as well as its 2 neighboring islands. These islands are home to prehistoric animals that have transcended the stretch of time. Komodo dragons are said to be survivors from the days of the dinosaurs. The Komodo dragon is a huge reptile that has uniquely evolved in an environment that had remained completely isolated by the surrounding sea. Komodo is a hot, barren island dominated by a 5,600-meter tall mountain in the center. The majority of the island is made up of grassland, called savanna, which is characterized by grasses and tall trees that dot the dry landscape. The climate of the island is a tropical monsoon climate, consisting of a rainy season and a dry season. Because of seasonal dry winds blowing up from Australia which affect the climate, Komodo Island is the driest region in Indonesia. Because of its dry climate, various birds and other animals live in the wooded areas around the mountains of the island. The dusky scrubfowl is searching for food under fallen leaves. This scrubfowl is a flightless bird which deposits its eggs into nests it builds out of fallen leaves. This beautiful oriole inhabits a wide area, ranging from East Asia to South Asia. This bird is in the drongo family, and the shape of its tail feathers is quite unique. Lesser sulfur-crested cockatoos are a species of parrot. This bird, here seen drinking nectar from a flower, is a large-sized species belonging to the honeyeaters family. As many as 72 different species of birds can be observed on Komodo Island. The ancestors of most of these birds are thought to have migrated here from Australia. Several larger mammals also live in the wooded areas of the island. Water buffalo and horses, thought to have been released in the wild by humans, inhabit the park. Sambar deer breed in a wide area of the deciduous forests in Indonesia. Wild boars on the island are omnivorous, eating even insects and snakes. The animals are quite thin on Komodo, indicative of how harsh the environment is here. Crab-eating macaques are active over a large area and are continually on the move for food. They can be seen all over the island. When temperatures rise in the early morning, Komodo dragons make their appearance. Komodo dragons are the largest lizards in the world, reaching approximately 3 meters from head to tail, and reaching weights of up to 150 kilograms. A Komodo dragon's growl shakes the ground. Komodo dragons are cold-blooded reptiles, controlling their body temperature by exposing their bodies to sunlight. Therefore, the first thing they do in the morning is soak up the sunlight. Komodo dragons are creatures that are well adapted to the severe environment of this island. Scales cover the entire body of the Komodo dragon, effectively protecting it from natural predators. Also, its thick, black epidermis is able to effectively absorb solar heat, keeping moisture in the body from evaporating. Their forked tongues, like a snake's, can detect even the faintest smells and changes in temperature. It is said that a Komodo dragon can sniff out prey from 10 kilometers away. Near the entrance to the wooded area, a Komodo dragon lies quietly in wait, flat on the ground. It preys on animals like deer and wild boar. A Komodo dragon shows surprising agility when catching prey. It can achieve speeds of up to 20 kilometers an hour. The animal swallows its food without chewing. Its tank-like stomach can digest just about anything. A swing of its powerful tail can knock out its prey. It is also an excellent swimmer, using its tail to help it swim. It also has extremely strong hook-shaped nails. It can climb a tree supporting its substantial body with these nails. Looking at this creature, one senses something of what prehistoric sea and land-dwelling creatures must have been like. During the late Cretaceous period, many species on Earth went extinct. It is said that a small percentage of reptile species, however, managed to survive. The descendants of one of these surviving prehistoric reptile species then crossed the sea, landing on Komodo Island. On Komodo Island, Komodo dragons adapted to the harsh environment by evolving into larger forms, turning into the gigantic lizards which are endemic to the islands today. It is believed that Komodo dragons can survive without food for several months after a big meal. Because a delicate balance has been struck between the environment on the island and the animal's ecology, the Komodo dragon has survived to this day. On these isolated islands, the mysterious workings of evolution, which so long ago created animals the size of dinosaurs, can be seen at work today.